that you gave us as closely as possible. Once again, if you made top 8, please sort your deck. We will be performing deck checks before the quarterfinals. All right, last time you were here today, you had 50 minutes. You may begin.
Okay. So Orrin Beasley, Jeremy Klein, both playing for top 8 here.
I believe this is Orrin here. Wow, that shirt looks very similar to a hat I saw recently.
It does remind me of that
Maybe
hat.
people should remember this shirt.
No, I don't know what they should remember a shirt.
Well, they could remember it as a hat, perhaps?
Fair enough. And we've got Jeremy Klein sitting on the right.
I'm actually I'm rooting for Christian. I like that mono black deck
Christian
too
Valenti?
much.
Yeah, me too. I like that deck as well.
Christian is the only person who was locked up for top 8 before last round.
Must be nice.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, Michael Pasque, who we saw lose his round 2 feature match, is right now playing in the feature match for the top 8 of the tournament.
Yeah.
So that Pyromancer Ascension deck is the real deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's playing against one of the other people that we featured earlier. Let's see.
Chris McCord.
Chris McCord, who is playing Boros. So that will be I think it's interesting for a deck like Pyromancer's Ascension. These aggressive decks, in certain ways, play into what your Pyromancer's Ascension can do, because you can just burst, just keep clearing the board while you develop your mana, lay your Pyromancer's Ascension, cast your second, preordain.
I mean, I kind of love playing against those decks when I'm playing Ascension, because I can kind of just run the Ascension out there right away in game 1, and just I never feel like I can lose those types of matches. Our turn 1 Inquisition from Orrin, and Jeremy reveals a
Growth Spasm.
Jeremy is mono green Eldrazi. And top 8 is currently shaping up. We have Christian Valenti as a lock. We have Conley Woods also as a lock.
Yep.
Anybody else we're positive about?
I don't know if we have any other positives right now.
Wow. So only 2 spots locked up right now.
Yeah, no, I wrote that, you wrote that. I just like that. Alright. Papano, how's your grip going on?
I like it.
Oh. Alright, give me a good feel of that grip. Yeah.
So I don't see any other colors. I think that this is just black-blue control, most likely.
Yeah, it seems like it's probably a blue black control deck. You might be the bug deck.
Black again, yeah.
Although it doesn't look like
Doesn't look very buggy. We'll find out with this sack land.
He found swamp.
Oh, then it's probably not bug, right?
Yeah. Classic blue black here. Actually surprised classic blue black deck has made it this deep, especially with the top tables have just been completely dominated by decks that are very good against that deck.
There's always, I think that black-blue is likely to have been one of the most popular decks in the tournament, particularly for those people who view themselves as being really skilled players. Control decks often bring people in who feel like they are skilled because they feel that control is the way that they can show their skill. And with this, if there's a lot of black-blue, some of them are definitely going to make it through and do well. And I think the deck itself is a strong deck, even in the face of decks that are attempting to take advantage of a black-blue deck's weakness, some of them will still make it through.
Jeremy is struggling a bit here. He's in a pretty bad spot. I actually like the mono green Eldrazi choice for this tournament, though. I feel like mono green Eldrazi is pretty well positioned against the control decks that are going around, and you know, somehow a lot of these aggressive decks kind of fall to the wayside throughout the course of the tournament. So the mono green Eldrazi deck could be good. It fell out of favor because it was it was an inferior Primeval Titan deck in raw power level as opposed to Valakut, but you know, given the right circumstances, its consistency may actually make it better, especially for a 10-round tournament like this.
Right now, I mean, I feel like this game is pretty much locked up.
Oh yeah,
I mean we're waiting for the black blue deck to win for the most part. You know, he already knows that his opponent has Summoning Trap. And so as long as he's a little bit cautious about how he interacts with his opponent's mana, and so that he doesn't just tap out to counter something that's a creature.
Yeah.
I feel somewhat responsible, like, for making sure this is getting into
Who am I?
because, like,
Whenever there's a Jace on the table, sitting there kind of unmolested, waiting for, you know, whatever you want to happen.
It usually does not bode well for the other deck, especially when there's Tectonic Edges coming off of it. It's actually surprising how little Valakut we've seen today.
And you know, Valakut actually, even in the standings, has not been doing particularly well.
Yeah, I think one list might top 8, but that's the only one that's really floated to the top, and there weren't many players playing it.
Now, of course, we might just eat our words and find 2 lists when we get there, but the last I looked, there were not very many red-green Valakuts that were doing very well. Okay, so we have the question, and the response to this is, knowing that there's a Summoning Trap, probably just let it hit.
Yeah, I mean,
it'd be much worse to deal with an Eldrazi.
I mean, it's almost irrelevant, though. He just bounces it with his Jace and then does whatever he wants to do.
Yep.
And I mean, he's been activating the Jace. He's been brainstorming.
Yeah, I mean, he's gotten value out of it in that way. Now he just can push it into making Jeremy's Wormcoil engine be a very expensive way to get 1 counter off of Jace.
oh man, it's good. It's okay. I enjoyed
7th mana.
New Year's. And then the other one, too.
Here he comes again. Another counter off of the Jace.
Right, that guy's name seems
6 mana with buyback.
Yeah, I mean, hey. Jace is so good. It's just... Like,
yes.
We were just watching it dominate this game.
Yo, Anthony, congratulations on your...
You know, an Avenger is pretty good here. If he, like, goes land Avenger.
I think if it were to resolve, absolutely. Then, of course, there's a Summoning Trap that would follow that up if it got countered, so...
Yeah, I think you kind of have to counter the Avenger, though, because is he really going to Summoning Trap and play better than Avenger?
You pretty much have to. I mean, you could potentially consume the Meek on it.
Double Mana Leak, though.
Yeah.
So.
Double Mana Leak at this point, particularly with the Jace having worked as long as it has, is not unreasonable.
All she said was, that was a pretty easy feat, especially when I reached the top 8. I just 3-0'd everyone. They were just
Is that a Mystic Maze?
like naturally like
Mystifying Maze?
Mystifying Maze, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I like that card.
There's another answer.
Actually, one thing I'm interested to see tomorrow, one of my favorite plays in Legacy is when people use Maze of Ith to untap their own guys during their opponent's combat steps.
Yeah, I think that was first brought to the world's attention by Brian Kowal.
Knight of the Reliquaries.
Yep.
Tap this Knight of the Reliquary. Make some manas. Now the best is you tap the Knight of the Reliquary on your turn and you get the Maze of Ith. You can like play with people's minds. Brad loved that deck.
Yeah, well, I mean, he ought to. You know?
He just squeaked in. Super lucky. And super skilled, too. He's a master. He's a very good-looking man, also. Rugged good looks.
Once again, looks like we're going to be... popping the worm coil engine.
That's going to be fun. We'll go back to Jeremy's hand.
That is a lot of cards there. There's a spreading seas for that Eye of Ujin, if he wants to go there, which is pretty reasonable play right now.
Cheat your way to victory. Yeah, 0 to hyphen. Really, really good.
Huh? That's very interesting. He
That's very strange. Does he have a tech edge in hand?
Well, to be fair, the eye doesn't tap for mana unless it has a spreading seas on it. So I don't know if that matters.
You know what that does?
There's an Avenger.
Both of you guys. Jack stack after this?
yeah. No, I mean,
Jack stack. Barbecue.
now he can EOT eye, right?
A second spreading seas.
No, it can't. It costs 7. No, 6.
He's got a
No, he has
wall.
a wall.
Oh, he's a wall.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought it was just something like
Go. EOTI. I don't know about this.
Did you play Sure. You have to check it, right?
Ulamog, not too far away from being able to use it. If he lays a
Yeah, I mean, he could just be.
plays a
hitting the,
temple, he can cast that.
Yeah, I'm
You know.
pretty sure he has to or he has to check on kids here.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is the reason he may have been putting the spreading seas on the farce is because he has the package in play. He just wants to hit the eye.
Sure, but he hasn't hit it yet. And now will be the option to try to 3 on taps.
Yeah, he can't not hit it before his opponent untaps. It seems
Like, even if you wait to do it,
very dangerous thing.
Oh, okay, wait. Yep, there we go. I feel a little bit better.
So Jeremy has access to 7 mana now,
Yep,
or 8 rather.
8 mana. I mean,
Not
I just
quite
don't.
enough for some Ulamog.
I just don't. Yeah,
Enough for the worm coil again.
which will resolve.
Of course.
Do we know he has summoning trap or anything?
Yes.
He has summoning trap in his hand,
He doesn't.
and he knows.
Yeah, he was Inquisition.
Inquisitioned on turn 1.
Turn 1. Saw it. So
So we are right now in round 10 of the Star City Games Kansas City Open, Standard Open, and Orrin Beasley and Jeremy Klein playing for top 8.
I mean, Orrin must just have a ton of options here. His grip is so full.
Yeah.
He's just taking his time.
What do we have?
We have a Grave Titan.
That guy's okay.
Not too shabby.
So he's 2 mana away right now from being able to cast the Ulamog, which is another way of saying a Eldrazi Temple away. My apologies, that looks like it's actually 3 mana away. Miscount. Cultivate. that gets you a long way towards being there.
No, this is not completely unreasonable for Green Deck to win, and it's decently unreasonable, but
I would say it's actually not far off. I mean, he can cast the Ulamog if he has a temple next turn. If he doesn't, it's like 2 turns down. That worm coil engine is, going to be able to give him enough of a pad in life.
Good.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Next turn, he has the mana with the land in his hand to cast Ulamog.
Do you think you should have Doombladed the Worm Coil Engine there instead of taking a hit?
Instead of having it eat a zombie?
Yeah. What else is he going to Doomblade? Like, is he Doomblade
I could say Doomblade the Overgrown Battlement.
Sure, he could do that too. Bouncing Overgrown Battlement's not the worst either.
And there's the Doomblade for the Overgrown Battlement.
Makes sense.
Holds off the Ulamog for another turn. Unless, of course, once again, if there's a Temple in hand, then it won't have held off anything. I mean, he's got a million cards in his hand, but it's not going to matter as much.
He's got two or three mana leaks.
Here comes the first Preordain. Maybe.
I guess he could just start mazing. No, we don't want to maze because then he can't attack the Grave Titan.
Yeah.
He's doing all this stuff and that was the first part he was Graveyard.
Yes.
And he's been doing a surprisingly small amount of things. He has basically just had a Jason play and been bouncing things.
His Graveyard could be totally stacked. No, you said he Inquisition, right?
Yeah, he Inquisitioned.
So yeah, he just stacked it.
And I'm guessing it's going to see the second Preordain now. Inquisition. It's probably going to be a whiff. Ulamog, Emrakul, Summoning Trap,
Eldrazi Temple there, too.
Eldrazi Temple.
bounce over on Battlement Inquisition would have been pretty sweet.
Yeah. Would have been pretty nice.
He's casting an Ulamog next turn?
He's casting an Ulamog next turn.
Bodes pretty well.
That's pretty devastating.
24.
I mean, maybe he has a... I mean, he's got mana leak and all that, but then he gets a Summoning Trap. I mean, what's he going to Summoning Trap into? Ulamog again?
Primeval Titan, potentially.
But I mean, that's of all the things for him.
Okay, there we go. We've got Tectonic Edge, which can hold off that land. Even with the Temple, the Ulamog is delayed for one more turn.
Yeah.
Did he have two lands in or just one?
He had two in hand. Forest and Eldrazi Temple.
I mean, how much mana does Orrin have open?
He has open 3 mana or 4, I think. I think there's a land on the top edge that's just off screen. Yeah, there's a land just off screen.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry.
I mean, you can cast Summoning Trap and pay for a mana leak, right?
Yes, he can. He can cast Summoning Trap and push through Mana Leak.
But he's got multiple.
And a Doomblade hits the Wormcoil engine.
They definitely touch up on the Inspiration play because yeah, Jerry said he couldn't beat it anyway. Yeah.
Christian Capone in the East and the Crusher.
Yeah, I mean, finally would have
Actually, in that moment right there, even if he had 2 mana leaks, he had 6 mana open and the 3 other lands against only 2 open mana. So he could have cast the Summoning Trap into a mana leak, still paid for it, and only have to worry about 1 because of the level of mana that Orrin had left. Okay, so Orrin is going to spend some manas here.
Makes sense.
Actually, I would probably brainstorm almost rather than bounce a 3/3 Death Touch.
That's the way.
Is it?
Yeah. He bounced the Death Touch so he can attack the Grave.
Yeah, that makes sense. A second Grave Titan in hand.
Does Orrin have 2 mana leaks in his hand?
See at least 1.
I would assume that he isn't using this game, right?
He has not cast 1 yet.
Yeah, he's got 2.
So.
Yeah, there are 2 mana that are just off screen that you can't quite see that are above the Grave Titan.
only Christian lens there.
So, but that keeps him off double mana leak. So here he could be facing like some pretty serious stuff. He could end up turn Summoning Trap, pay for mana leak, and then on his turn cast an Eldrazi monster. Is that right?
Assuming it's type.
But he hasn't drawn a Titan yet.
Go.
He's got a second Titan in the hand. Oh, he's talking about his opponent.
Yeah.
There we go.
He's right there.
There it is.
Oh, what a captivating camera.
So Stoic Rebuttal.
I was talking earlier. What it would look like captivated by her, like captivating everyone.
No, we get to spin the wheel.
No, and he goes,
It's a little weighted in your favor.
pulls his tentacles in.
And I believe that puts him into Emrakul.
Yeah.
2 temples.
He has a temple in hand, right?
All the Christians are good.
What are you doing, buddy?
He might not have them. There's past one. Whoa, tech edges.
Didn't he
Okay.
have Emrakul, man?
Is he a beetle?
Wait, he had 9 plus 6. That's Emrakul.
That is Emrakul.
And he had the temple in hand. So unless he's only running a couple of temples.
No.
I mean,
We saw more when he went through his deck.
Are you sure it's not a tech edge or something?
maybe it's a tech edge in his hand.
No, it's temple in his hand.
We'll see in a moment.
So you just totally missed it?
Run better.
He can still Ulamog.
It was definitely a temple.
Yeah.
What?
That should be a Emrakul hitting play right now, which would be the lights.
And he gets to attack with Primeval Titan.
I mean, if he attacks with a Primeval Titan and he has another eye in his deck, he could still cast the...
Yeah, they probably would run one.
I would imagine just one.
No, they run one to the sideboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
He has to just be worried. He has to just get a low life. 15?
15?
I'm not going to describe this to you all day. Describe it after we fall.
I don't get this play.
I do everything.
What's with the Colony Garden?
Garrett wasn't so hard to
Walker, duh.
Garrett. You have to pay 5
We're trying to get the least optimal answer.
Oh, man. My head hurts.
You know, you've been here, I would say, almost 12 hours.
Yeah, I mean, we've been here for 12 hours at this point, so... It's starting to slow down, but, this is... He's been playing. It's been a long day. You can't really, hold him. I thought for sure we were just going to see an Emrakul come
I know, I really love seeing that guy.
I wanted nothing more.
A little Cthulhu.
All the Pastafarians who go nuts. The chat. The thing is the flying spaghetti monster. He tells us that we can prevent global warming by increasing the number of pirates. It's science, Like, there's a clear relation between the planet warming and the number of pirates.
It's true. There's also, an example of how correlation and causation aren't necessarily linked.
First time I did a graveyard.
So he got both tech edges, but he didn't use them then?
I'm at a loss right now, so I'm just waiting to see how this one plays out a little bit more. Are we sure that the life totals are correct? I mean, maybe he is a lot lower. I think he's at that life total.
Jeremy 50, Orrin 30.
So here we go. Going to get yeah, nothing kills Emrakul, right? You play him and you time walk and
Yeah.
you annihilate for 6. Don't you? I mean, And now it's punting through another Tech Edge. And has another Grave Titan. But his opponent is at 13, so, I mean, I guess he just wins, right? Anyway?
I can go back down. Get the fuck down. Yep.
I don't understand what happened this game.
I'm not exactly sure what happened either. But
yeah, I'm pretty confused. Yeah, that Tech Edge might just be a game for blue-black here.
Gonna get them back into the screen. There's too much that's off the screen.
Okay, sounds good. So this tournament we've seen some interesting stuff. Conley Woods is now in top 8. He's playing a blue-green Genesis Wave deck. We watched some exciting games. Yeah, I really like the match we covered with you.
Yeah.
And we got to see game 1, which was one of the most fun games I've watched in a long time.
Yeah, down and out, and then
there was we were just talking about how, oh well, you know, hopefully he can get there in games 2 and 3. You know, I just like talking it up, and then there was a Genesis Wave for 6, and 2 Lotus Cobras came into play alongside an Acidic Slime.
Acidic Slime was the key that died without Acidic Slime.
Yeah, I mean, Acidic Slime for that sword is super important.
By the end of the turn, my hand is in play. My opponent has a step links. It was good times. It was good times.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. I especially liked we had talked to Conley just before the match, and Conley had talked about the Acidic Slime in his deck, and he said, well, you know, I just needed a way to beat Sword of Body and Mind, was the first thing he said about it. And then he started talking about all the other reasons it's good. Like, it's good against vampires, and, you know, it's good against the control decks. So it's basically just good against almost all the decks in the format. But Sword of Body and Mind was this card that he, like, pointed out. It was the first thing he said about Acidic Slime. And then we cover him in a match, and the first thing the only way he can possibly win is if he has a card to kill the sword, and he flips it to the Acidic Slime. It's pretty awesome.
It'd also be nice to point out that about the nose there.
I really like about my deck that you can feel when the gears shift and you go into winning mode. Like when you're like defensive, and then you switch, and then it's like downhill for your opponent. You just know the game's over. Like, sure, it doesn't end for 4 or 5 turns after that, but you're like, all right, we're in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I mean, what Conley was just saying was one of the things he loved most about his deck is that it switched gears like so fluidly. And that's one of the best things about like some type of like combo-ish deck like that. That was one of my favorite parts about Elves. Is, you know, you could sit there and you could chump block and return your Visionary back to your hand with Symbiote, and you just like create this long game for your opponent where it's this awkward thing, and then out of nowhere, like you glimpse and like you just come at them, and you need to know when to pull that trigger. Conley's deck is almost more of a control deck, though, than a combo deck. It's certainly more of a control deck than a combo deck, and it just has this... The gear switch is just such a different pace, though, than most control decks. Most control decks, you know, like, they empty out the board, and then, like, they, like, counter some spells, and then, like, play a threat, and the threat gets there. Whereas Conley's deck is just, you know, it's controlling the game, and then it just wins.
Okay, so now we have the second Primeval Titan hit the board.
This game is... This might be my favorite game ever.
Like, we have Jeremy really at a pretty low life total, and you know, I think that, you know, we've got essentially a position where his life total is what he was fighting for, but he should have just had the Emrakul in that one turn. But as a result of that, it's cascaded into this moment where he's kind of on his heels a little bit, and he's on his heels with 2 Primeval Titans in play.
Yeah.
Now that Primeval Titan play means that he's back to the point where he can definitely cast Ulamog next turn, and he's only, it looks like 3 mana shy of the Emrakul.
You can appeal, gentlemen. Sure.
That I know. Yes, I know you have to
It's actually in the CR. Like, it's very specifically, like, unless you say land cracks there, you shouldn't care.
Well, when you unload
So tomorrow with Legacy, are you,
is this your traditional land for the turn?
what are you guys expecting to be, like, the most unsung hero? What card do you think is going to be the biggest surprise tomorrow?
Phyrexian Dreadnought.
That guy's a good man.
Conley thinks that Phyrexian Dreadnought is going to be the big hero tomorrow. He's not playing that card, but you know that's his. I'm going to go with I'm going to say Goblin Welder.
In the Reanimator deck?
No,
Not in the Reanimator deck?
I mean maybe in Reanimator decks. I think Goblin Welder has a lot of applications and hasn't really had a chance recently. So I'd like to see some Goblin Welder action. I mean I think Time Spiral is like without a doubt the most powerful card.
But it's not going to be unsung.
To be-
Everyone knows it. It's just got unbanned.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody knows about it, but
I feel just because it's okay with me playing the reason I'm saying it is because I don't believe
Got bounced.
just playing a land
Jace
for
took
turn
care of the other
is any
Titan.
more of an indication it's your first land as it is your additional land.
And he is dead.
Playing my first
Who?
land.
Who's dead?
If it's an additional land, we're all happy. But not saying additional land.
There were 5 zombies attacking.
the zombies got in there.
Wait, blue, black one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Say the word.
There were enough zombies to take over.
First of all, Jonathan Green's an insane matchup for me, so I want them to win. And he should have.
Conley is
I'm biased. I'm obviously. I'm
Yeah. Conley knows that his mono green Eldrazi matchup is very, very good, and he
interact with my Accelerants.
Yeah.
My late game's actually more powerful than theirs. It's pretty disgusting. Beyond Emrakul, like that's the only thing you can cast with like I'm comfortable. So, like I'd much rather take 4 Titans than a
So what it looked like to me that might be possible is I think that Jeremy Klein might have gotten tunnel vision about that mystical mace and gotten the tectonic edges to break the mystical mage, not seeing that he had Orrin by the throat. You know,
yeah. I
like,
mean, the big thing is that he
yeah.
yeah. I mean, given he had a lot of zombies, so the Annihilator but the zombies are what killed him. So the Annihilator would have done a lot of work, and you know the Mystifying Mace. Like I understand that his opponent had a Mystifying Mace, but what happens when you get the mana for the Emrakul and then play the Emrakul, and then you attack with your Primeval Titan, and then you get the Tectonic Edges, and then you can Tectonic Edge the maze before...
Yes.
And then you can Tectonic Edge the maze, and then attack with your Emrakul, and then you get to play an Ulamog. It just seems like a much better line of play. Again, though, this is round 10, and that's a lot of rounds of Magic in one day. You know? And also, if people haven't played a lot of big tournaments in their lives, like, you're just really not used to it at all. Like, you play your 4 rounds every week. Like, even that 5th round feels a lot different than that 4th round. And the 6th round, and the 7th round, and the 8th round, like, every single time, it gets a little more tiring. Your eyes get heavier, it gets a little harder to think, you feel like you need to tank a little bit more, and there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. You know, he's playing for a top 8. That's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, he made it this far, so he clearly knows what he's doing. Like, I'm sure if this was round 1, he probably would have made the correct play.
Alex Schaefer. Alex Schaefer, if you're in the room, please come to the main event stage.
At this point, I think it's fairly likely to bet that Orrin Beasley might have access to Memoricide and other cards that are a way to dodge fighting the mana issues that green Eldrazi can just push forth some scary Eldrazi, you know. A Memoricide on Primeval Titan goes a long way towards making this green Eldrazi matchup not nearly so scary.
Yeah, there are only 15 minutes left on this clock, too. So
there's really not much time left.
That magical scenario we spoke of, where Jerry could actually make top 8 if he wins this last round, if these guys draw,
If they draw, there's that opening that could let somebody in.
And Jerry would make it in. So, I mean, we have Jeremy here on the play, and Mono Green Eldrazi on the play when you're a control deck is a pretty scary thing.
Yeah.
Like, even if you have Memoricides in your deck, like I have a lot of trouble. Like, this could be a draw, and considering the fact that there is payout for top 16, like these guys could, you know, neither of them is going to want to concede to the other one once it gets down to the line.
Right.
And they could draw themselves out.
It's the regular expected acceleration from Mono Green. Reconsidering his Cultivate and/or Growth Spasm in favor of the Tree Speaker. It's funny, I was about to mention that I thought that would have been... there we go, Growth Spasm, which could get countered if he wanted.
Yeah, it's almost definitely correct to play the Tree Speaker first, you know. Your opponent has Mana Leaks in their deck.
Mana Leak is one of those really difficult cards in this matchup because so
Summoning
quickly
Trap.
it can, not only Summoning Trap, but so quickly it can become irrelevant. So quickly you can be at a point where it actually doesn't stop anything.
I mean, Jeremy's got a pretty fast start here.
Okay. So there's a Summoning Trap in
There is a
hand.
Summoning Trap in his hand now. So,
1, 2, 3. Oh, nope, just leveling it up. So he can do 5 mana after that. Doomblade stops that from happening.
Doomblade will quash those plans. You know, one thing I really like about the Mono Green Eldrazi deck is if you're playing a long control game, it's really hard to beat that type of strategy. The Eldrazi are just kind of like this thing that keeps hitting you, and you don't really run out of gas. I remember when we were first testing for Pro Tour San Juan, V. Moshowitz made a mono white Eldrazi deck with like Everflowing Chalices and Eye of Yujins and Eldrazi Temples and things like that.
That was an underwhelming deck. I remember that build of his deck.
Yeah, I remember when he first made that deck, that was before we knew the full spoiler for the end, and we didn't know about the aggro decks. Like, we didn't know that we could make a Beastmaster Ascension deck. We didn't know that we could make that Mono Red was going to be as good as it was. Like, we still didn't have cards like Stagger Shock and Kargan Dragonlord.
Right.
So this Mono White deck, in that regard, was this very powerful thing.
Was that the one that had the Master in it? White 1?
That card had got spoiled, yeah.
Yeah.
Playing around with that. I actually like that card quite a bit.
That card I think is going to have its day.
I'm sure it will. Translucent Master?
Translucent Master.
Transcendent Master,
yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Translucent's a much less powerful word than Transcendent. I can see you through you. Good job.
Oh man, it's too good. I mean, Orrin's doing a really good job of controlling Jeremy's mana base right now. And I mean, that's what he needs to do.
Growth Spasm.
But that's going to be bad news. I mean...
Funny, we actually take other spending cards against those other areas. We just go faster, ramp as fast as possible. 6 lines, we don't need to...
I mean,
I'll get one up next week. I skipped this week.
a deck like Jeremy's is not well positioned against a deck like Conley Woods. Conley's deck has, you know, so much land disruption in form of like Frost Titan and, you know, yeah, there's like Stormtide Leviathan, Volition Reigns, Acidic Slime. And you accelerate just as fast, if not faster, than they do. They can't interact with the Cobra. Yeah, and the fact that they can't interact with a Cobra just changes everything. I think that's kind of a big problem with the Mono Green Eldrazi deck. Is like it's so dangerous to play a deck where you can't interact with a Cobra. Because if your opponent plays a Cobra on turn 2 and you can't interact with it, it's really hard to win games.
I mean, I can't really interact with Loon trying to race it too, really. I mean, I can chase it, but some of them are important streaming inside Loon, I know that.
What's that card that we see on the
That's
top
a
there?
Gaia's Revenge.
Yeah. So another Inquisition of Kozilek that is basically a bad peak. I'm actually surprised that the Inquisitions are still around, honestly. Yeah. But particularly if he's on the draw.
Yeah, I mean, the Inquisitions can hit a lot of its accelerants, but you kind of need it in your opening hand. It loses so much value in the later game, and these games are going to go long. So when you draw that card, you're pretty unimpressed a lot of the time.
I mean, and here we still have, again, that unmolested Jace just eating away.
This is a bit odd, though. The summoning trap could have resolved, but he gave his opponent time to get deeper into his deck with the Jace, which allowed him to find the mana leak.
Preordained to get rid of those Jace cards. Hey, to the bottom. End of turn trap. Easily countered.
Yeah.
And then he has access to potentially 8 mana here. Maybe.
Yep, and
here comes the Gaia's Revenge.
Here comes the Gaia's Revenge. And that's, I mean, that's really hard to deal with for his opponent. I mean, unless there's a Grave Titan in hand, then things are not good.
12.
You're gonna need to change that screen over. There we go.
Yes, there's gonna be a Grave Titan hitting the table right now.
There's 7 minutes left in the round.
Yeah, it's
This is looking to be like it could be an easy chance for a draw.
Yeah, this could conceivably be a draw. It could also just be a 1-0 win for Orrin. Or Orrin might just win. He's playing, he plays a Grave Titan. Like, what's his opponent really gonna do?
We're not playing for outs here, boys.
Tapped out. Here it comes.
Once again, a reminder: if you believe you have made top 8,
Primeval Titan.
please have your deck sorted.
Yeah, I mean,
once you have sorted that deck, you can hand it in to the judges.
Ulamog in
Over at
hand.
the judge station, they will
I don't
take that
see-
from you and have it verified before we break.
I'm surprised he didn't swing with the Gaia's Revenge first.
And he can cast the Ulamog next turn.
And I mean the eye also sets him up well to find an Emrakul, win the game that way. Huh? He chose not to attack with the Revenge.
Deprive.
So, I mean, this looks pretty good for Jeremy, right?
Well, it looked pretty good for him that last game.
And I'm surprised, is there a judge? There's a judge watching this, isn't there? I'm surprised the speed of play hasn't been increased.
Well, they're playing slowly, but they're not playing slowly in a way that is abusive. You know what I mean? They're just being slow. Tech edge. Takes out the eye. So this Gaia's Revenge could block, or he could just take the damage. Looks like he's taking it.
14, Orrin 11.
Alright, so now he's going to Ulamog the
6, 7, 8, 9. He's short now after the tectonic edges and the spreading seas knock things down. He's only got 5, 8, 9 mana now. He's down below it again.
short.
Another Gaia's Revenge.
Another Gaia's Revenge.
And go. Now remember, earlier in the game, when he cast that Gaia's Revenge could have just murdered Jace.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how important that 8 points was. I mean, when your opponent's at 28 points, it's somewhat irrelevant, especially when you're playing this controlling of a matchup.
Yeah, and you know, that Jace found that Tuck Edge, and it only found it with the help of Preordains. He wouldn't have been able to get there. There would be definitely an Ulamog in play right now.
Only 2 minutes left in the round now.
So the Gaia's Revenge blocks this time, but it didn't block last time. Yeah, it's 4 power of zombies that didn't have to be in play.
Orrin 10, Jeremy 14.
So what Jerry Thompson would want, were he to have control of this match, is for Jeremy to push through somehow and make this into a game win so that there's a draw.
I'm pretty surprised.
Just looking at his cards.
Yeah. I mean, he looks right now like he's pretty upset with himself.
He looks tired too.
Yeah. It's been a long day. And I mean, like I said, I'm sure he's, you know, he's got to know all the mistakes that he made. He's clearly good enough if he's made it this far. He's, you know, he's tired. It's 10 rounds. I'm tired. I was much more bright-eyed and bushy-tailed earlier in the day. You know? I was getting all psyched about every single play. He could have had some long matches.
He's casting something. Is that a Terastodon?
That is, in fact, a Terastodon, which will be deprived.
Yep.
So.
Time.
Open players, that is time in the Swiss. Finish your current turn. Take up to 5 additional to complete your round.
Small play warning, there'll be 2 additional turns, 7 total.
Okay. So this looks like it's going to be game.
So to my mind, this looks like it should have been a 2-0 win for Jeremy.
I agree. I think both of these games were, you know, very much in Jeremy's favor. So they're in extra turns right now. There's not much of a chance for Jeremy at this point. And that looks like it's lethal.
There we go.
So I fucked up where if I had Christian Green Crush Conley, then I
That puts another confirmed player in the top 8, Orrin Beasley.